Hello everybody, welcome back to Into Aviation. Today's topic is the ill-fated crash of the aircraft PK-8303. Before we start this presentation or try to understand what exactly went wrong, let me remind you that this video is only for understanding the various opinions of what caused this crash and not to come into any conclusions till the official accidents investigation report is out. So let's get started. What could have gone wrong with PK-8303? Before we get into the depth of the topic, the aircraft model is Airbus 320, serial number 2274. The aircraft is approximately of age of 15 to 16 years, registration being Alpha Papa Bravo Lima Delta. A total flight hours of approximately 47,100 hours. Now, why is this crash important for Indian aviation? As we are looking at this video, currently 366 A320s are parked on Indian soil. Now, since A320 is a widely used narrow body aircraft not only in India but around the globe, everybody is curious to know what exactly went wrong with PK-8303. So currently 3 teams are investigating together to find out what exactly went wrong and how we can avoid such accidents and incidents in the near future. The teams involved are Pakistan Air Crash Investigation led by Air Commander Usman Ghani. Airbus obviously wants to know what went wrong with their product, and engine manufacturer CFM. This is a letter issued by Pakistan Civil Aviation Authority. It is the regulatory authority like how we have DGCA back in India. This letter is basically permission for special flight transporting Airbus officials to Pakistan to take part in active investigation to find the root cause of this accident. Now, why do we need this special letter? Is because of the COVID-19 crisis. Looking at the weather on the day of accident, if you see this METAR, the METAR clearly states that the weather was clear and good for a fine landing. So we can rule out that weather played any parameter in the crash. You can see this OPKC is the code for Karachi Airport, dated on 22nd May 2020. The winds are around up to 11 knots on a direction of 240 to 220, 7,000 meters of visibility, no significant changes, 35 degrees temperature, 24 dew point, QNH 1004, and no significant changes. So I don't think weather played any role in this accident. Moving on. History of Pakistan International Airlines high-speed approaches. I have digged up a little into the past of history of PIA, and I have found out that the first incident came up on 10th November 2018, where a flight PK-517 from Karachi to Panjgur, which was an ATR, incident took place due to the pilot error. As you can see on the right side, the image, a normal landing where a touchdown needs to happen, but the pilot touched down almost in the middle of the runway. So hence it led to an overshooting of the runway. The second incident dates to 20th July 2019, PK-605. This is an ATR 42. The crash resulted to the total write-off of ATR 42. Captain's approach revealed that she is habitual of coming in high and hot. When you mean high and hot, you're coming high for an approach and you're coming very fast for an approach compared to the normal prescribed procedures. Even now, PALPA, I'll be talking about PLPA in the end in detail. So for now, even now PALPA insisting that she would be given a command on 320. However, she was decommissioned from her captaincy rights for a period of 1 year. Third incident dates back to 28 September 1992, which is a flight PK-262. It was an Airbus 300, of which all 167 passengers were killed. The aircraft investigation revealed that it was a pilot error where crew misread the approach plate while landing in a mountainous terrain, and it resulted in a deadly crash of the aircraft. Since we have seen the history of high and hot approaches of PIA, now let's get to PK-8303.
Pakistan 8303, we would like to come again for ILS 25 left.
So descend left heading 110, climb 3000.
Left heading confirm.
From left heading 110, climb 3000.
110, climb 3000, Pakistan 8303.
You are jumping altitude 2000.
Sir, we have just give me 2000.
So maintain 2000. Most rally showing 1800 feet at descent.
Sir, copy it, sir. We are now trying to maintain.
On 8303 approach.
Yes, sir.
Appears to be turning left.
While proceeding direct, sir, we have lost engine.
Confirm you are carrying out belly reading. Runway available to land at 25.
Roger. Sir, Mayday, Pakistan 8303.
Pakistan 8303, roger sir. Both runways available to land.
Now I know that many of you have seen this ATC recording or heard the ATC recording, but the whole purpose of playing it again is to have a revision of all the events in our minds, so that down the presentation when we're discussing certain parameters, it shouldn't be like out of blue topic for you. Moving on, let's talk about the first reason. There have been speculations that there has been a bird strike which caused dual engine flame out during the go around. Guys, let's understand how bird strikes affect an aircraft's engine performance. The energy of a 5 kg bird, for example, moving at a relative velocity of 275 km per hour equals to the energy of 100 kg of weight being dropped from 15 meters height. Now, only 11% of bird strikes actually damage aircraft engines, causing flame out. The perfect example is US Airways Flight 1549, also known as the Miracle on Hudson. But prior to the landing of PK-8303, there was no RT call of previous aircrafts reporting bird activity, or neither did the controller warn the pilots of bird activity during the approach. So I think this reason can be striked out, but still let's wait again for the accident investigation report to come out after the entire detailed analysis of the FDR and CVR. Already as a preliminary investigation report is out, which we'll be discussing down the presentation. Now reason 2 comes. This is what everyone is talking about. Go around after a ground impact, which was actually caused because of a hot and high approach of PK-8303. The voice communication between pilots and ATC controller also revealed that controller instructed the pilots to turn left heading 180 as he believed the aircraft was way above the recommended height and its speed was too high for landing, but the pilot insisted that he is comfortable and continued, again beside being reminded twice by the ATC controller. Now, a perfect confirmation we'll receive only from CVR. This official released airspeed data from Flight Radar 24 site reveals that the aircraft was very high on approach. There's a graph which I'll be showing you down the lane. The steep descending line shows the pilot was descending very fast, especially when it was at 10,000 feet of height. If you see this particular diagram, at 10,000 feet, there's a sudden steep, and then the aborted landing dot is where it had impact with the ground. and then made a go around, and then the last contact was approximately at 14:39 to 14:40. Now this graph depicts that ill-fated aircraft PK-8303 made a touchdown on the runway without landing gears down. This is causing a lot of speculation and a lot of rumors in this investigation, guys. As you can see, it is depicted in the red circle, and then it started to climb to 3,000 feet after touchdown. Unfortunately, the touchdown occurred on the engines because the landing gear was not deployed. We don't know if it was a cockpit error or the pilot's error, or it was a technical malfunction of the aircraft. Again, we'll have to wait for the FDR and CVR data to be revealed to public in the form of investigation report. Now, the preliminary report released by Pakistan Aircraft Investigation Team, the plane began its steep descent. Instead of gliding onto the runway, it hit the ground few times for about 20 to 30 seconds and then took off again and reached a maximum altitude of 3175 feet. Then made an attempt to land again, which was a part of the go around, and pilots did call for help, saying, "Sir, we have lost engines," followed by a distress call, which was the mayday call. The last recorded position was of altitude about 500 feet. Now, there have been photos which have been released in the media which state that the engines have touched the ground, which gives us a more solid evidence that the landing gear was not deployed. Reason unknown, or we don't know what exactly happened yet. The scratch marks suggest the first touch with the left engine was at 4,500 feet down the runway. Guys, before you understand what these numbers are, Pakistan, this runway of Jinnah International Airport, Karachi, is 11,400 feet runway. So at 4,500 feet down, followed by both engines touchdown on runway at 5,500 feet. Then alternative touches, more thicker ones from 6,000 to 7,000 feet, and then one right engine touch with left off till last 1,500 feet of the runway, where it gets airborne for a visually closed landing after a go around. Now this report confirms that aircraft touched down on the runway without landing gears and speed was very high, which again talks about our high and hot approach, as ideally an aircraft should touch down by 1,500 feet down the runway. Guys, touching down 1,500 feet down the runway is it's 3 times more. They have touched down at 4,500 feet down the runway. If the speed is as per defined procedure, but the first engine impact was at 4,500 feet down the runway, that is 3 times of what it was supposed to be. Now the sketch depicts that only if the landing gears are not down, the aircraft will hit the engines and not the belly. This is a clearance of approximately 1 meters as per the diagram of engines of an Airbus of 320 from ground. So if landing gears are down, there is no way engines can hit the runway. Once gears are retracted, only then engines will touch the ground. So at least this thing is sure that the aircraft gears were not lowered intentionally or any malfunction, which is yet to be determined. So let's not just jump into any conclusion as of now. Post go around. Let's talk about the post go around events. Now this is the approach plate for Karachi, Pakistan, ILS localizer Yankee runway 25 left. The missed approach procedure, this is what I want to focus on. Climb straight ahead to DME 4.0 kilo Charlie or 1000 feet, then turn left into heading 200, climbing to 2000 and contact ATC. However, this was not followed and this was exempted because it was a mayday situation. Now, if you see this particular diagram, the black line depicts the takeoff after the go around. As you can see, it's almost at the end of the runway. And then he makes a left-handed circuit and then comes in for a landing for 25 left. Also, ATC gives him an option that he can land in any of the runways. And that's the last red point is the impact. Now, communication between pilot and controller reveals that the aircraft climbed to 3,000 feet. Pilot realized that they are not able to maintain 3,000 feet of altitude and they are descending down. Before the pilot realized, the controller also informed the pilot that he is losing altitude, to which the captain replied that we will maintain 2000 and trying to maintain 2000 feet. Now, the whole purpose of making you watch the ATC recording all over again is just to give you a recap of these digits. Now, finally, when he was on the approach, the following picture reveals that the aircraft was at a very high angle of attack and trying to sustain flight, but eventually, with both engines flamed out at low altitude, we all know what has happened in the end. Now, these pictures clearly show that the aircraft was very low. I mean, you can clearly see it's very close to the buildings. And due to lack of engine thrust, as we spoke about, engine flame out, stalled, and the pilot could not control the impact of aircraft just 60 seconds from the touchdown point. Now, moving on, let's talk about pilot training in PIA. There are two agencies, PALPA, Pakistan Airline Pilots Association, and the second agency is PIACL, Pakistan International Airlines Corporation Limited. As per the working agreement of PALPA and PIACL, which was signed on to 2011, the following clause 1.2 dictates a major flaw in PIA pilots training. In the recognition clause, para 2 states that all the training of pilots will only be done by PALPA pilots, which is a grave conflict of interest when it comes to this investigation. Let's read the para 2. That is, the corporation agrees that all training, evaluation, checks of regular pilots will be performed exclusively by the pilots who are members of the association, except on induction of aircraft on wet lease simulator. Checks will be carried out by members of association. Now, why do we find a grave conflict of interest in this matter of pilot training in the organization PIA? No such practice is followed in any airline in the world. In all private airlines or foreign airlines for that matter, all the training of pilots is conducted by respective pilots who are management pilots of the airline or who are made or mandate to examine a pilot on the basis of his or her performance on merit, and no personal interests are involved in line. But the final clearance checks are done by a qualified civil aviation approved instructors. Now, also in the PIA, there's been a lot of rumors that many first officers of PIA don't make it up to captain as they are unable to clear written exams of ATPL license, which is a prerequisite to becoming a captain. This is a letter issued by PIA to their pilots, which clearly states that two first officers Boeing 777 first officers A320. After numerous reminders and warnings, it is observed that the B777 officers who are due to promotion as P1 on ATR still have not acquired ATPL or cleared the papers. This is obstructing promotion of pilots. It has been decided that such first officers will be removed from the flying duties for a period of 1 month to complete requirements for promotion as P1 on ATR. After 1 month, if they still do not fulfill the requirements, they will not be entitled for guaranteed flying allowance till such time they complete the promotion requirements of P1 ATR. It has also been decided that effective from 1st July 2020, only those A320 first officers will be promoted to B777 who have cleared at least 04 ATPL papers. I mean, which airline is going to give you a vacation to go clear your ATPL papers? I mean, I personally don't know any airline which does that to a period of 1 month, and they're stressing that go, please clear because we are waiting to give you promotion. Now, training, safety and involvement of PALPA. Basically, the involvement of PALPA is a lot in this whole Pilots Association of Pakistan International Airlines. The undue protection provided to pilots of PALPA has given rise to complacency, indiscipline and blatant violation of companies' SOPs against the regulations. We were talking about the first 3 incidents, if you can try to recollect. Basic factors affecting training and adherence to safety procedures are: pilot jobs are permanent in PIA, unlike other airlines, and once made permanent, the management gets restricted by the working agreement to supervise or have control over the conduct of pilots. Now, all regular pilots pay PALPA to become a member so that they, under their patronage, all indiscipline is covered and a safety net is erected among them. Not a single safety related article has been published by PALPA Association till date. PALPA has never insisted on the management nor made the arrangements on its own to send their members to attend safety courses and seminars conducted by professional individuals or organizations. Now guys, I have spoken to 3 to 4 of my friends who have been flying the Airbus 320 over the past 2 to 3 years and who are much more experienced than me. So I asked them only one question: what's your take on PK-A303 bird strike, or did the aircraft scrape engines on the runway instead of belly? So the first person replied saying touchdown without gear, either due to a failure or a crew forgetting it on engines, leading to damage and loss of fluids. The preliminary report supports this. Second person, what's your take on PK-A303? The same question, bird strike, or did the aircraft scrape engines on the runway? Looks like engine scrape on the runway. Now the third person, the same question, I'm not going to read it again. So possible reason for the crash of PK-A303. When they scraped the engines on runway, the engine fan cowling would have got compressed and damaged. When they did a go around, the fan blades might have got in contact with the cowling because of the impact, which was fractured. These fractured fan blades could have caused flame out of both engines. I rule out bird strike because it's very unlikely to have both engines flame out on a bird strike, which we already discussed again in our second or third slide. Now the final opinion of another friend of mine is, as per me, it was more of a judgmental error by captain and his decision to get airborne again even after the engines being scraped on the runway, not once but thrice. That was at 4,500 feet, 6,000 feet and 7,000 feet of 11,000 feet runway. The preliminary investigation has mentioned that the aircraft had captured false glide slope and the rate of descent of this aircraft was more than the usual prescribed maneuvers, and it was also approaching at a higher speed. So upon impact, without the landing gear down, the scraping of runway thrice with the engines, the aircraft would have lost its momentum. In spite of all this, the captain decided to get airborne and come in for a second approach. So had he not taken this decision and instead had he continued, the aircraft eventually would have lost its momentum due to increased drag and finally come to a stop, maybe on the runway or off the runway. The casualties would have been definitely been less, or more lives could have been saved. Guys, out of the 99 souls on board, 97 perished. But here what this person is trying to explain us is, probably had he not made this go around, the casualties could have been little less on the number, which again is an opinion and it's not a firm decision or a firm concept. Now putting all this parameters together, if you see, the only thing which we can conclude is the aircraft came in high speed, high on approach, it touched the ground or the runway, landing gear was not deployed. Again, two reasons: intentionally or a technical error. By intentionally, I mean the pilots could have forgotten to perform the landing gear down. Now, keeping all this in mind, I just want to remind you guys that this video is only to understand the various opinions on what could have possibly gone wrong. However, let's leave it to the experts of aircraft investigation to do a thorough study of FDR, CVR, pilot's history, pilot's training record, and any other required documents if they had to look in and come out with an perfect aircraft investigation report out publicly, so that we can finally understand what happened to PK-A303. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and share it with your friends who are interested to know about PK-A303 crash. Now, I promise you that when the official investigation is out and the official report of the accident is out, I will make one more video comparing these various opinions which we have collected, or which I have collected with my friends in this presentation, and we'll compare how close did we come or how close did we solve the PK8303 crash with the limited resources which we found online in various forums or YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp forwards. On this note, I would like to take a leave. Stay safe, stay home, and till next time, stay tuned to Ink to Aviation.